Hello there, and welcome to another episode of my Inspired Life series. Today I'm going to be in conversation with my colleague, my friend, and my niece, Gillian Frank-Pepple. We're celebrating Women's Day, International Women's Day, Women's Month, all March long. And, we just are going to chit-chat about what inspires us, what our hopes are for women as a whole, for women folk, and also in this month of, in this Women's Month. And so let's get right into it. So, Gillian, how are you doing?
I'm very fine, thank you.
Great to see you again.
I know, right?
In what is hectic Lagos, how were elections? Did you vote?
Let's not even talk about that because I did vote, of course, but, well, that's all I'll say.
Aluta continua. Don't give up. Don't give up the faith.
We try.
Right? So we have to go in. Well, I'm glad you voted. That's the most important thing. And I hope that you will vote again on Saturday.
Definitely.
I know I was feeling a bit lethargic and said, I've done the most important one. Lagos will go to where Lagos goes. But I think we should do what we have to do. Right. So let's talk a bit about the sector that we belong to, the social impact space. I know that we both wear different hats in terms of our career journeys. This is also an intergenerational conversation. So we've had the opportunity of working together, but obviously you come from a younger generation with a different perspective, and it'd be great to hear some of the things that inspire you and, what has led you in terms of your journey in the social impact sector so far. So why don't I start with the first question around your journey so far in the social impact sector?
Okay, so my journey is quite interesting. I started this journey quite coincidentally after graduating from university, but I've always had the passion for this space. I am a victim of sexual violence, and I've always been so angry about this issue. I started a help group in my university for victims of sexual violence, but I wasn't aware that it was a career opportunity, or it was a career journey that I could take, because I hadn't really heard about any success or successful women from this space. So graduating university, I had the opportunity to work with Whisker, and it was...
Go Whisker!
It was life-changing. Not only was I exposed to so many powerful, intelligent, innovative women, it exposed me to the fact that I could pursue a satisfying career in this space while also fulfilling my passion to help women in particular, because I am biased. So yeah.
You're gender biased, positively
I'm gender biased,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that's really interesting, and obviously not to make light of what sort of propelled you into the sector, but I think that we bring our sum total of experiences, and often when you find that is actually what propels people into wanting to change something or sort of pursue a social cause. So very interesting. We won't delve too much into that experience, but we'll have lots of time to talk about that at a future series. But just to ask you how you are doing mentally, physically. I know that what happened quite a while ago, but sometimes, these things lead us in a certain direction. So just to ask you, how are you doing?
So mentally, I'll say I'm doing, if I'm to rate it, I'll say I'm doing 80% good. But sometimes you think about it and it makes you angry all over again, because I never got justice. I wasn't even believed by my family members. So, of course, when I think about it, or when I see some certain people that I thought was going to provide me, comfort, I get angry all over again. But I'm fine. But it makes me angry when I see other women go through the same things. And it makes me angry when I see that they also don't get justice. So in that aspect, I'll say 80. Yeah. But physically, I'm great.
Fantastic. Well, wishing you well.
Thank you.
It is a process.
It
and
is.
I guess one of the best ways in terms of the journey of healing, and there are multiple approaches, is obviously to also give back in some way and lend some of your experiences to help to be a voice and an amplifier for other women who may not have the opportunity you're currently to, have their voices heard. So your journey started from Whisker, and Whisker kind of opened up the sort of awareness in your mind in terms of what this, space can be and what the sector can provide and help with.
So right now, I'm the project lead for a foundation called the SBO Foundation. And transitioning from Whisker, I wanted to work with like a more grassroots organization where like I feel more like a direct impact on the lives of women. So this foundation focuses on like empowering the girl child, both through education and physically and mentally. So right now, I work with the beneficiaries in Abuja. So we pay the fees for about 70 girls right now. And we also have counseling sessions with them because some of them, unfortunately, are also victims of violence, which also inspired me to write and animate the book, The Most Beautiful Temple. It's for girls ages 9 to 16 or 18, it depends. Teaching them about their bodies and signs of sexual abuse, because unfortunately some of them are being abused by their fathers, their uncles, who are their primary providers, and they feel they have no option. If I'm just going to digress a bit, one of our beneficiaries actually got pregnant. So this is a very unfortunate situation. You wonder, like, how are we even going to start changing her mind or just, informing her that she is the victim. She doesn't know she's a victim. So it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fulfilling work. So
do you take them out of the situation? Because
yes,
obviously if they're being abused by close family relatives and it means that the abuse is happening probably around the home area. So what then happens, apart from working on their mindset? Are you taking them out of the situation?
Yeah, we do take them out. We have an amazing team. So we have someone, I'm not going to mention her name, but we call her the house mommy. So she is based in Abuja and she's based close to the girls. So her house is like a refuge for all of these girls, even the girls that are being beaten or girls that can't feed. Her house is there. So she's there in the area with the girls and she's the house mommy. So these girls can stay with her. But we have another problem of the mothers. They don't agree that their children are being abused. So they're in denial. I don't really understand the logic behind that, but they're in denial and sometimes they refuse and they cut off, access to the girls. And but we have introduced some external foundations who provide help in these kind of situations because this is not our primary focus areas, but working with girls, we face diverse issues. So we do take them out. Sometimes we fail, sometimes it's a success. But
wow, so that's a lot. And so I'm just wondering, because that's something that also we don't often talk about in the social space. The work we do is really demanding, especially those that work in the grassroots, because it's different level of engagement in certain respects. And then when you go into especially areas like, domestic violence, sexual violence, and those kinds of issues. So you as a person that works within that particular space of, sexual violence, how do you protect your mental health? Because even hearing all the different stories, and hearing the different traumas, how do you sort of protect and shield yourself from not sort of going back into that place and then, to then enable yourself to continue to give and do the work that you do?
Honestly, it's not easy because sometimes you want to be strong for the girls, especially when when you're communicating with them. But sometimes you can't help but shed a few tears and feel very depressed and feel like you can never do enough and like nobody can ever do enough. It's an issue that we are always going to face. But I'm lucky to be surrounded with people that I can always talk to and cry to. And sometimes I feel burnt out and I feel hopeless and I just want to give up, but you can't because these girls are looking up to you and you just have to push. So it's a cycle. You cry, you come back, you cry, you come back, you get tired, you give up, you continue. So it's never ending.
Well done.
Thank you.
And I can assure you that definitely somebody is benefiting. And, I'm sure there are lots of the girls that are benefiting from just having you and the organization support them in the way that you are. And so to feel encouraged.
Thank you.
But to also know that it's important to take that time for yourself and to step away sometimes, to give yourself the space and the grace that you need and then come back, to continue the work up to the point when obviously you may then need to step away and do something else. But well done for the amazing work that you are doing. And
Thank you.
Very,
I'm
very
definitely inspired by you.
I almost feel like I'm not even doing half of, some of the things that I've heard you speak of today and that I've heard, so many stories along the journey.
For our listeners, Fabia was my first boss and she really inspired me to, and like I said, I never knew like I could pursue a career in this, and Fabia has showed me that, In fact, I want her to tell us her story.
Well, we don't have that much time, so I will thank you very much, and that's very gracious of you. I'm really lucky, and I think I get the most energy from, I'm totally inspired by the next generation of women, and that was for the last 5 years. I recently stepped down as Executive Director of Women in Successful Careers, but after 5 years at the helm of affairs, leading, the day-to-day operations, strategy, and just, heading programs and doing all the different things that I did. But, it's really exciting. I think the most joy I got from working with a team of young women who are really leading in terms of the programs, the communications like you were, and, just in so many levels. And I think the greatest joy of being a leader is the opportunity of when you have a platform where you have others who are open to learning, open to being led, because in many ways that's, you learn a lot from that process, and it just sort of gives you a platform to really impact beyond the beneficiaries that you're impacting. So yeah, my journey has been long in the sector. In the sector of social impact, I've dabbled in and out for over 15 years.
Wow.
My career journey itself is over 22 years. I think I'm 22 years at the bar this year. I am a lawyer by background, but I think there's just so much, to be done as a society, especially where women are concerned. There's so much in terms of lifting women up, and whether it's, the women really at the wrong, sort of lower rungs of society, and the face of poverty is women. Yeah, unfortunately, definitely. Obviously, poverty is not gendered. There are obviously a lot of men, and if you look at the population of Nigeria, I'm sure over 60 or 70% are living, in terms of what we'd call the poverty, below the poverty line, or in terms of poverty levels. But the face of poverty indeed is the woman. And because of these challenges that are historically faced by women, or a greater proportion, when you talk about gender violence, when you talk about, opportunities for economic growth, economic progress, and even just participating in economic life, opportunities to be in spaces of power and policy to make effective policies and laws that affect the lives of women, then that we're really we talk about education, for example, and the theme of this year, International Men's Day this year, which is about digital inclusion. We are definitely, as women, bearing the brunt of the disadvantages that come in that space. So there's so much work to be done, and I applaud every woman who in one way or the other is giving back and working in this very difficult space of the social impact sector space. But even if you're working in the corporate, private sector, and public life, in one way or the other, giving back, which is something that is really dear to, I think, both of us. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Fabia.
So let me ask you, as we begin to sort of round up our conversation, what inspires you? And tell me, as you think about and share what inspires you, also if you can tell me one woman who inspired you greatly last year.
Okay, so my inspiration is quite controversial, but what inspires me is the fear of failure.
Fair enough.
The fear of failure.
Very real.
Honestly, the thoughts
and what is failure?
Failure, that's a very interesting...
Because sometimes failure is in our mind. It's an abstract thing. We don't even know what it is.
To me, failure is, I have a target in mind of how I want to impact the social space, and if I don't reach that target, that's failure to me. My goals for this year, if I don't reach my goals for it, that's failure to me. I mean, and also...
Don't be hard on yourself now.
I try to. And what inspires me is seeing, like, every day I open social media, I'm seeing an amazing woman doing something new, and I'm just like, I never thought about that. That is so wonderful. And it inspires me to, to think outside the box and, get out of my comfort zone and do...
So is there one woman?
Yes, absolutely. Malala.
Yeah.
I'm so inspired by her, because especially living in Lagos alone, like this stress alone, I want to give up. I just want to stay home and be cocooned in my AC and eat, and just hearing her story and just seeing how she has surged forward is really an inspiration for me.
Amazing.
To me.
That's really, really
who would you say is...
if you know me, you know that to pick one name would be really to pick one name would be really, really hard. But I'm very inspired by Michelle Obama. I'm really, really inspired by her in terms of who she is, what she stands for, her values, and how also works in become
Yeah.
You know, so like me, she's a lawyer. Like me, she also works in the sort of social impact, public life kind of space in terms
twinning.
of in my head. I'm not married to the president of America yet. Though. Yeah, so I find her, the work she does with girls and in education of girls through I think it's called the Girls Opportunity Alliance. Obviously, how she carried and held herself as the First Lady of the United States when she was, how she's continued to evolve in terms of, you know, her pursuits, her social impact pursuit with girls' education, but also with the Obama Foundation and grooming leaders, next generation leaders, I find inspiring. And then the work that she had done, interestingly, even before she became First Lady, working in the public health system and just in the social justice system and all of that. So I find her really inspirational. Obviously, she brought out another book last year, which I've been carrying around and haven't managed to quite read. The Light We Carry. I'm looking forward to reading that. But I mean, Michelle Obama is one. I'm inspired by so many other women, too numerous to mention. Women in public life, people like Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, creatives, people like Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, who I had the opportunity of meeting with last year and sharing space. Yay! All the women who've run for politics in Nigeria, especially in this last elections, and seeing how, I mean, it's not an easy terrain at all. So I'm really, really inspired by them and, you know, the journeys that they had taken to get them to where they did. You know, some of them successful, some of them, I would still say successful even though they didn't win, but just opening up the space and making us know what's possible. So I'm inspired by women. I really am. I'm inspired by he for she's as well, you know, the men who are our allies, who supports, you know, in the cause and walk side by side with women in this journey of equality, inclusivity, and equity. Yeah, so I think I managed to land on one, but I'm really inspired.
No, you landed on 3.
I'm inspired by many
more.
women. Great. So today is Women's Day. So how are you going to be spending your day beyond this chat we're having?
Today I'm going to spoil myself because I deserve it. So I'm going to have lunch and I'm going to work for a bit and I'm going to have dinner and I'm going to have post-dinner.
Whoa! Can I hang with you?
Of course. So I'm just going to relax and just reflect on my year so far and the journey a lot of women have traveled this year in the chase for gender equity and equality. It's not an easy one, so I'm just going to reflect today.
I'm going to just throw something in the works before, because I know you want to throw that question back at me. Do you really think that men and women are equal?
Oh my God, I thought to talk about that. So yes, this is a very controversial thing. I think men and women are equal but different. And that's a mistake a lot of people make. A lot of people try to say that the quest for gender equality is saying that, you know, we should be treated equally. We're different, so we can't be treated exactly the same. A woman is going to get pregnant while she works. A man is not. But they should be giving the same opportunities by that organization to grow and thrive. So you have to respect the differences of men and women, but also provide them equal opportunities. And if that means, you know, giving women an opportunity to work from home, giving them a 6-month maternity leave and giving them extra 3 months to work from home so they can catch up to their colleagues, that's equity to me. So men and women are equal but different. So their differences should be respected and should be taken into consideration. Yeah, so that's my...
Yeah, and I think I couldn't have answered it better myself. I certainly believe that men and women are equal. From the day, you know, when you give birth to a child, in the process of carrying a child, there is no difference.
Yeah.
In fact, you have no idea except you sort of obviously go and check what you're having. But if you sort of decide you're not going to check, then, you know, everything is equal and it's a level playing field. And then, you know, you have a baby and babies are babies. It's really as we as society begin to ascribe, you know, attributes of what's, you know, what is female, what is male, what is, you know, what do girls do, what should boys do, that, you know, then things begin to change. But like you said, in terms of physiologically and biologically, we are different. But in terms of our capacity to achieve, everyone is the same. And those differences that are physiological and biological will play out as, you know, we grow in life. And you gave some great examples in terms of even work life and the things that present for women that may be different from men. But the opportunities, which is where equity comes in, if everyone is allowed, given the basic level playing field of going to school, having a good education, as we have seen, then there's an opportunity for everyone to thrive and everyone to do well, and naturally a ripple effect in terms of our economy as a nation and as a people in that space. So excellent. So do you want to know how I will be spending my day?
Yes.
It's quite, no, it's not as jam-packed as what I'm hearing you say your day is going to be. I'm going to definitely take it easy. I'm probably going to do a bit of work, and I'm going to listen to lots of podcasts. And I've signed up to a couple of webinars as well. There's lots obviously going on.
I think your day sounds busier than mine.
No, mine is filled with yours is filled with lots of fun things. I'm hoping to sneak in a lunch or something there, but definitely I'll be listening to a lot of inspirational stuff and really just, I think we're in that same space of reflecting, on the journey so far and, the work to be done, for the rest of the year. And so if there was the one sort of thing that you feel, and I hope you are feeling hopeful in spite of, I know we started our conversation very real, but I'm hoping that you feel hopeful. So what is the one thing that would give you hope? Another way of framing that question is, what is the one thing you would like to see different for women, for the nation, and for the nation includes men as well? What would you like to see different? And I'm not pigeonholing you to any answer, but what would make it worth it?
Okay, for me, I'll say coming from the past events of the election, my mind is filled with issues concerning Nigeria. So I'm just hopeful that things will have settled down by the end of the year. And I know a lot of people are still in despair, but I'm still very hopeful that, things are going to change. We're going to have a democratic system and we're going to have things working for us in the country. So that's what I'm hopeful about. And I feel if things are working like they're supposed to, other things are going to follow. Structures are going to be put in place for organizations that we run to have, to make full impact. What of you, Fabia?
Gosh, yes. What would I like to see different at the end of this year? Yeah, you're all right that elections is sort of, on all our minds and kind of like, Well, I hope that we will find peace in whatever the final outcomes are, of the elections. I hope that we will all find peace and, find our spaces of peace and satisfaction and, continue the will to continue to do the things that we do. And I hope that we will continue to have an enabling environment that allows us to continue to do the various work that we do in terms of moving this beloved country of ours forward where Nigeria is concerned, and obviously the work that we do has a global effect. I hope that as a nation, and again this is dependent, some of these things start from the top. I hope that whatever the government is of the day, a lot of the candidates that ran for elections have all sort of pledged to think around the issues and be proactive around the issues of gender equality and gender equity in terms of representation, whether it be by political appointments or passing the relevant laws and policies that will enable us see some of these results take effect. And so I really hope that the government, the outgoing and the government of the day, of the new day, will continue to ensure an environment that will hope that we will take these issues seriously. Okay, so, I'd like to say thank you very much, Gillian, for being in conversation with me. I'm very inspired by the work that you do. I'm very inspired by the woman, that you are becoming. And, I want you to keep evolving.
Thank you.
I want you to keep being inspired. I want you to keep being hopeful and try as much as possible, as hard as it may be, to tap into that joy every, now and again, because in the end, that's what we have.
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure that we're ending this on a high note and to say, it's nice to have been in conversation with you.
Thank you.
And I wish
Can we do this every day?
It's therapeutic. It's
therapy.
It's been great, and I look forward to watching your journey and
thank you.
to talk again soon. So thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you. We hope that you all have a fantastic day and find some time during the day for some self-care and to celebrate all that we have achieved really as women in Nigeria and as women across the world.
I'd just like to chip in, send every woman flowers. They deserve it.
Or at least something positive. Say something positive to somebody who is a woman today. Happy Women's Day, everyone.
Happy Women's Day.